because it took so it took me a while to get all this. So basically, what I'm saying is when you have such an agile project to deliver, you first of all break it down from the top to bottom. Okay, you will have what you call your product vision. And then from your product vision, you're going to now design your product roadmap. From the product roadmap, you now go into the release roadmap or the release plan. And from the release plan, you now have all the different breakdown that talks about your sprint plans. Okay. From the sprint, you'll be able to know how many sprints how many sprints you require to deliver this project. From the epic, from the features, and from the stories. You will look at that website that they want to build. This is the homepage. These are all the different features that they require. Now, these are details that the product owner would have gotten from the company. Okay, so they break that up, and you now, as the Scrum Master, will now sit down, or at the ADM most time, because at times they may not bring the costing part to the Scrum Master, but as an ADM, you get it. And some companies, they don't even care. It's the Scrum Master that handles everything. They just call you Scrum Master. You are the Scrum Master, you are the ADM, you are the project manager. That is it. Because ideally, for some company, the Scrum Master is also called the digital project manager. So when you now break down this task into all the different sprints, you understand how many sprints it's going to take to achieve your goal. So the next question, I hope you can hear me, please. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, hearing you.
Loud and clear.
Hearing you, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Just want to be sure. So the next point will now be, now that you've been able to understand how many sprints will be required to get this job done. Now, how do you arrive at knowing the number of sprints that is required? Now, this is actually another discussion. It's a full discussion that we will sit down as Scrum Master during one of our sessions like this, and I'll just put you through those, okay, so that you will be able to look at the epic, the features, the stories, and I'll say, okay, for this particular epic, this is how we break it down. These are the number of sprints that is going to take, and then the developers will come. They will look at every one of them and then estimate, and then tell, oh, this particular story will take this number of story points, and then they will put a value to it. Now, based on those value, you will know how much your team can deliver. You will know what their velocity is like. Okay, so now back to the breakdown. From the sprint, you understand how many sprints you would take to deliver that project. Once you've gotten that, and if you're maybe the maybe the product manager or the program manager now asks and say, Vivian, please, can you give me a cost for our client? What it's going to cost us? How do you cost what we're doing? Now, there are different ways. I'll just mention just two of them, how you can cost it. Now, I said you will have to look at the resources that you will use. I need one Scrum Master, one product owner, one business analyst, two QAs, two developers, one solution architect, one UI UX design engineer. Okay, now you're giving all this list, and you now put a price to every one of them. Scrum Master, 500 per day. Developer, 500 per day. Testers, 400 per day. You know, and you put a cost to every one of them like that. Maybe you've listed 8 persons, okay? Now, 8 of them, some 500, some 400, like that. Now, remember for your sprint is for 2 weeks. Okay, let's say we decide to make 2 weeks, okay? You can say your sprint is 1 week, your sprint can be 3 weeks, but ideally, most often, people use 2-week sprints. So for those 2-week sprints, you know that you don't want to work Saturday, Sundays. So basically, you're working 5 days, Monday to Friday. So you've got 10 days in a sprint. meaning that the Scrum Master is going to work 10 days for one sprint, £500 times 10. So we're paying Scrum Master £5,000 for one sprint. Okay, so and let's assume you calculate all the 8 people that you need to use, and the amount is let's say 5 times 8, 4,000. Okay, let's say everything is £4,000 per day. So you know that the 8 people you're using, the cost per day is £4,000. So for 10 days, that is £40,000. So one sprint, which is 2 weeks, is going to cost that airplane company, is going to cost them £40,000 for the resources. You get it now? Because you guys are 8 and you've calculated all the amount to be 4,000 for each day for everybody. And a sprint is 10 days, 5 days. Okay. You don't add the weekend because you're not working on weekends. So for those 10 days, 4,000 times 10 is 40 grand. So when you want to cost to that company and you've evaluated the number of sprint that is required to deliver that product, okay, you can now say, oh, for this product, for us to get this site to the spec that you want, it's going to take us 25 sprints. Okay, it's going to take us 25 sprints. And we all know from the calculation that one sprint is going to cost you 40 grand. So 40,000 times 25. Now that is the first cost. There's another cost you're going to bring in again. Okay, that is an additional cost. You have to cost the instrument that you're going to use, softwares, hardwares. Um, if you're going to use Jira, you're going to pay for the license. You're going to cost um, some other hardwares, anyway, internet and all that stuff that you're going to use. You add those additional costs, okay, to that 40 grand. So now you have an idea of how you can cost that deliverable. So your commercial team will now go back to the company and say, oh, our Scrum Master already gave us these details. They will now spill it. They will now present the slide to them and say, look at what you want us to do. These are the features that you want to achieve. And for each of these features, these are the number of sprints, stories that will come out of these features. And for each of these stories, these are the story points attached to it. And everything totally, you will need 25 sprints to complete this task. And for our staff that we are using, each sprint will cost you £40,000. So based on the number of sprints, plus and minus, you're going to add some plus and minus to it. There's always a contingency cost. I think that should be about 25% or so that will be added just in case. So if it's 25 sprint plus or minus 25%, so you put that cost across to them. Okay, I hope as I'm saying it now, you guys have an understanding of this breakdown that I just gave. Is anyone
Yes,
confused?
yes.
Okay. Now, because I'm saying it because you may not have the opportunity to go into budgeting during this your training because it's basically project that you want to face. Okay. So, but just have this as an addition and know that someday you may come across it somewhere and it's going to be very useful to you because see, when you go for interviews, companies want to hire someone that exceeds their expectation, that goes beyond just what the job description states. Okay. That is what will make you stand out. I've done some interviews and in fact, I actually recorded some. It's just that in as much as you do very well and everything is beautiful, there's still a place for grace because eventually the job I got was not even, if I put all the interviews that I've done, maybe I would say that particular one is not even the number 4 of the best. No, I find it's not even part of the best. So, so it happens that way, okay? But all the same, you need to be well prepared. You need to be well prepared. That's just the point I want to say. Now, let's leave budgeting out of it. Let's go into another discussion now. But before I start that discussion, okay, that's beautiful. Before we start this other one now, do you have any question? Maybe we can start it from that point. Let me just raise a question from any one of you. Maybe somewhere, areas where you're struggling with within the Scrum Mastery, so that we can work from there. Okay, Benga, quickly.
Yes, thank you. Two questions. One is silly. Everything we've been doing in the intern has been websites. Is our work limited to website? Is it all websites? Or there are other things that might come upon? Two, I want to know, you were talking about costing the Scrum Master, the tester, the developer, the product owner, the UI, UV. When will you be opportuned, or is there a time coming that you'll be able to go deep into that with us?
Well, just like I said during this Scrum Master workshop, okay, as we continue, I will find time to now narrow it down where I will just pick on each topic. Okay. So because it depends on where we're struggling with, so that we don't start going out of scope. We want to focus on where we're struggling with. So the first question, you said if it's just software, website that we're dealing with. Now, it is not just website that we're dealing with, okay? But because your training is time boxed, it's just within 3 months. So you can't do everything. But the whole idea is, if you can understand the principle of how things work in delivering a project that is website based, then you will be able to apply the same principle to deliver another project. Maybe it's just a mobile app, or it's an integration project where you are integrating one application into another. It is the same principle, because you need to gather the requirement, break it down into different points, get your roadmap out. From your roadmap, split it into the different release, and the sprints, get your epic, the features. So it is the same principle. Once you understand how to deliver this, you will understand the software delivery life cycle, and that you can apply to any other application. So it's going to help you out. So that's the basic reason why this is being done. And for the other question, yes, we can find time to go into more details with each of these topic. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I think Nena, right? Your question,
Yes,
please.
yes, please. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
So my question is based on actually I've actually asked my mentor this question today, but I'm happy you brought it up again. Who determines what is done in the next thing? So I need to be specific on what I'm asking, because I'm currently on the mentor trade project with the company, and what I have seen so far, it seems as if the BAs determine the next feature to be added on the project that has been given to us. But here, when you were speaking, you were saying you would plan the sprint, what is to be done in that thing. So I want to know, how do you know, or is it that you as a Scrum Master have to sit with the team and map out, okay, in sprint one, this is what we'll do, in sprint two, this is what we'll do, or is it entirely up to the developers and the BAs to determine what would happen in the following sprint? I don't know if my question is really clear.
Okay. If I get you right, you want to know who determines what is done and how it's done, right?
Yes, the process of planning the subsequent sprint.
Okay. Yes. Now, the way it works is this. In in a in a in your work environment, there are tasks to be done. Requirements need to be gathered. Now, there's a part where there's someone that represents the business. Okay, the business, these are the stakeholders that wants you to deliver a product for them. Someone will represent the stakeholders to tell the team what the stakeholders want. Now, that person can be the product owner. So the product owner is the one that will come and say, the business wants you to develop a mobile app. That the business, let's say the business is what's the name of this e-commerce? Let's say eBay. Okay, you know eBay. We all know eBay, where you buy stuffs online.
Yeah.
Now, assuming you're all working for eBay, so the product owner for eBay will come and say, "This is what eBay wants. We need a mobile app, and on that mobile app, we want to be able to have these features on that mobile app. We want to have the header to go this way. We want to have a drop down, and that drop down will select different regions. And then we want to have a cart on the right-hand side. And on that cart, you should be able to have favorites. You should be able to select different products. And then we want to have another part that talks about search on that mobile app. It's the product owner that would explain all those requirements to you. And then when you gather everything together, the product owner will also tell you the company's priority. Maybe eBay, first, they want to see the homepage and they want to see search, cart, about us. They want to see those three first on that homepage, even if it's not clickable, but they want to see it within the next 2 sprints. So that makes it a priority. And then the product owner will tell you this is what the company wants as a priority. When the product owner gives that, then the business analyst, the BA, will now come together within that backlog. Now, while the product owner is doing that, the Scrum Master also can help the product owner to manage the backlog. That is the backlog management. That, okay, PO, this is how you want it, right? Okay, now this home page needs to come first, and then this one will be the next. Okay, this aligning everything properly. So the Scrum Master can also help in managing that product backlog. Now the BA comes to now look at what is in priority, number one, and breaks it down into stories that the developer can understand. So the BA will now convert those business details, okay, into technical information that the developer can understand. You want a homepage with a drop down. You want a homepage with cart on it. The BAs will now write a story around that, now put acceptance criteria on it so that the developer will understand. So it's now the team, because the team now knows what to do. Now, how to get that done? That is the developer's job. The developer knows how to do it. That's why we say they are the ones doing the job. So the BAs write the stories, put the wireframe there for clarity, and the developer comes. And now, when the BA does that, the story is written. Then the whole team will come together, and then we do. Prior to that, the Scrum Master already knows the capacity of the team, because each and every one of those stories, they have story points. The Scrum Master knows that, okay, we are 8 on this team, and this is what we can achieve. This is our average velocity. I've noticed that this 8, most times we can only complete 4 stories that doesn't go beyond a story point of 40. Most times we just dance around 38 to 42. So the Scrum Master knows that. So the Scrum Master will not allow you to commit a story of 48 story points. He will not. Why? Because he knows that that is more than the capacity of the team. is more than what the team can deliver. Okay, so it's as simple as saying every sprint, you know that your team, when they are in full capacity, the 8 of them are there, they are able to do a task of 40 story points. So when someone is pushing you and say, oh, please make it 50, you know they cannot do that. You will now explain. And if they want you to do that, then they need to add resources. So, okay, please, if you really want that, can you add one more developer and one tester to it, to the team? You see that you are discussing from a point of experience. So when that comes in, then the team will now come together, do their refinement, do the estimate, and then they commit the story to the sprint. So that is how it's done. The business discuss to you through the product owner what they want to achieve. Then the team will come together based on the priorities set by the product owner. Then they will start picking all those stories. And based on their velocity, what they can actually do, they put those tasks into sprint. I hope that's clear, Nina.
No, not really. What I
Okay.
was asking was for the sprint breakdown.
The sprint
For
breakdown.
breakdown. So in sprint one, who's the custodian of the sprint breakdown?
Okay, when I did mention the number of sprints that's going to complete the task,
Yes,
right? Okay,
yes.
now that's the job for the team also. The Scrum Master. Now, remember the product has been broken down in the backlog by the product owner. Okay, so it is now your team knowing fully well what you can deliver at a point. Okay, and you will now put a value on everything that is on the product backlog. Let's say you have 25. Okay, let's say you have 4 different epics, and under those epics there are different features. Everything totally amounts to, let's say 40 stories. Okay, so you will the way you're going to come about those 40 stories based on each of those epic and features. You break it down, and then your developers will come together and say, no. This story, this particular features, we need to break it into 3. We need to do the header first. We need to do the footer second, because the footer is so populated. This footer is going to take so time. All those discussion goes on with the developers and the testers. Okay, we all decide how we split all the different stories. Now, after we splitted everything, we will now arrive at the total number of convenient story that can deliver the product. That's how you come to that's how you arrive at the number of all those different stories. I hope that that's clearer.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a teamwork. Yes, Biodun.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. I just want to ask, when you were talking about the budgeting, and I can see a pop-up message from Vivian that says budgeting is covered by ADM. I
Yeah.
just want to ask as well, because we don't have access to the ADM's meeting. And also, with regards to the meeting videos, we also don't have access to it. So how are we meant to go back to their recorded videos? Are we able to access those videos?
Don't worry. That's the beautiful thing about being on this training session. Okay, you can have a chat with the admin, and the admin can grant you access to some of those recordings so that you can learn. Okay, because we are all here to learn. Okay, now I just mentioned that, I told you that most times it's the ADM that handles all this costing and everything. Okay, but you might just be blessed that your company wants the Scrum Master to also do it. So there's nothing wrong with you adding that knowledge to yourself. So for those materials, you can have a chat with the admin, and they should be able to oblige you some of them.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. And okay, Eddie, your hand is raised up. Is it AB?
Okay, yeah, Abby, not Eddie. Not Eddie. Sorry, I would like you to at least enlighten us more on metrics and burn up the chart. It wasn't too clear at all.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, on your Scrum metrics, there are different Scrum metrics that we use in monitoring performance. You want to be able to monitor the performance of the team. You want to tell to the stakeholders the performance of the project itself. How is the project doing? Is it going on well? Is it going on slowly compared to the previous project? You should be able to use these metrics, okay, to tell. Now, the burn down, the burn up, the velocity chart, the burn down, in a nutshell, I will just summarize it in a layman's term. That will help you to understand the rate at which your team completes their task within the sprint. The rate at which they complete the task that is assigned to them for every sprint. Okay? So you will be able to tell when your team is actually behind. For example, I gave you a project A and you completed it in 4 sprints. And within those 4 sprints, each of the sprints you did 10 stories each. So 10 times 4, that's 40 stories. You completed that story, that project. And then you came on to project B. And it's the same thing. And I noticed with the same resources, you were able to do 8 stories, sprint 1, 8 stories, sprint 2, 9, sprint 3, then 10, sprint 4. So when I check your burn down rate, I will be able to tell that, oh no, something is off. And then I'll be able to trace at what point that particular issue came up. Maybe during sprint 3. What happened in sprint 3 that made it 8? I'll be able to trace it and go, oh, okay, one developer was sick then. Okay, now I can see. You'll be able to trace at what point the change occurred. When you just check your burn down, you will see that point of delay. Then you cannot pick that particular point, look at the date, check the team, what exactly was happening at that particular point. You can investigate and know what's happening. Okay, and then for your burn up most times use it to celebrate the team, to show what has been completed. Because for your burn down will show you what you've done and the one that is left, what you didn't complete, the task that you completed, the one that you were unable to complete. Okay, the burn down will show you that. But burn up is mostly focused on what we achieved. This sprint, what did we achieve? Oh, we achieved 40 story points. Wow, beautiful. Clap for yourself, team. Glory, So you can use it to celebrate the team for the burn up. Okay. Now, another one is this. There are different metrics. You can also look at the is it the now I want to pick one particular metric now that will help to explain timing. Okay, timing. Now look at the cycle time. The cycle time. I will explain it in this. When you say cycle time, from when you were given it. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Yes, I
Yes,
was
talking about
the
Where she gets you?
okay. So back to metrics. How important metrics can be. We've talked about burn down, burn up, and I want to add cycle time to it, which is actually the time that is taken from when you were given an assignment or a task to do, from that particular moment when you were given that task to the point where you completed it. I will give an example. When you place an order maybe you want to buy something from a fast food restaurant. Okay, you want to buy a burger and you pick up your phone from the app. You say, let's go to McDonald's. I want to buy 2 burgers from McDonald's, and you place that order. From the point where you place that order, the time starts clicking, start counting. It will get to a point where they will pick it up from McDonald's, and then they will start preparing the burger. When they're done, they will wrap it up, give it to the delivery guy, and the delivery guy will now bring it to you. You see, that is a complete time. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is this. It helps you to monitor the time at which you get your project, get all the information to the point where you were able to complete it. So I can monitor your progress, I can monitor your speed. Maybe some client brought a project and I say, oh, we need you to develop this application for us. From the point where those requirements were given till when you now handed it over, I say, oh, we've delivered. We're doing our retro now, we've delivered to the stakeholders. What time? Then also, you can also monitor the particular time where you actually started the work, which is when you got the requirement. That's not when you started doing the work. The work started when you gave it to the developer and they said, okay, let's start developing. That's another time again that needs to be monitored. So you cannot differentiate that to the initial point that I mentioned. Is Robert trying to ask a question? Your hand is up. Hi, Robert.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Sorry, let it not be like I'm dragging us back. A question has been disturbing me for some time now. Sprints are time boxed, and a project has life cycle. So my question is, what if, for example, from the beginning, 4 sprints were planned to deliver a product, and eventually, in some sprints, some items were carried over because they were not finished in the present sprint, and at the end, the project didn't mature at the time it was supposed to mature, maybe by the 4th sprint. What would somebody, Scrum Master, do, or the team do?
Okay, good communication, number one. Now, when you are when you start, there's always a contingency plan. I mentioned it initially. I said, assuming that this project is supposed to run for 10 sprints, there's always a plus or minus where you put like 20, 25% on it and say this project will likely complete it 10 to 12 sprints. That is what it's going to take us. We know that it's going to be 10, but we are adding another 20% contingency plan to it because there will be some changes. So you've already allowed flexibility in your planning. That comes within the planning phase. And also because things change, changes will come. Because see, that is the beautiful thing about iterative working, continuous improvement. Okay. So as you're going, the owner of the business can come and say, no. That mobile app that we wanted, the cart, we don't want the cart to be that way anymore. This is how we now want the cart to be. We don't want it at the top, we want it in the middle. That might even be even after you've almost completed the stuff. Okay? As long as it's the business that is bringing those changes, you will have to reflect those changes. But at the same time, let them know the cost, the consequence, okay? The cost implication. Oh, you are the one that said we should do it like this, and we said it's going to take 12 sprints. Now you want us to change it to this way, which is beautiful, no problem. But please be aware that these changes is going to take this amount of time extra, which result to an extra sprint or 2 extra sprints. So you factor all this into your plan. Okay, so those flexibility happens. It happens, and there will even be some that you simply can't avoid it. It's not your fault. It's nobody's fault, but it just happened. But the point is, it's part of the plan. You make sure that you have provision for those and good communication. When such things comes up, make sure you communicate to the product owner, and the product owner will go back to the business, because you might even get some features that you get to that point and the developer notice that, oh, this will not work this way. Why don't we do it this other way? And then you will go back to the product owner and say, this is what the developer says. If you follow this API this way, you might get this result, which will not eventually pay you. Why don't you consider doing it this way? Is that okay? And then they will go back to the business and say, oh, business will check it out and say, fine, that's beautiful. We accept that. And if they say, no, we don't accept that, fine. You go on with what they want. So that's that for that question. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Now, for an example to buttress what you just asked. Now, there's a project I'm handling at work. Okay, it's a payment application, and in order for me to get that done, I need to liaise with a third-party contractor, which is a bank, and the bank is supposed to provide us with a security certificate. We call it HSM. Okay, high security module. So, but when I placed the request to the bank, they told me it's going to take 3 weeks for them to get it done. And I added that to my project plan, that 3 weeks will get this done. After 3 weeks, bank were now telling different story. Okay, they will get back to this team, and the team are still working on it. Another 1 week gone, another 2 weeks gone, Now, those were not planned initially, but the communication was there. I was always communicating with the business, communicating with the bank, communicating with the business. This is the source of delay. It's not our fault. It's the third party contractor. And then I had to escalate to the higher management for the bank. I had to call up meeting with all the different contractors, and let's sit down so that they can understand the timeline that I'm working with, the tight schedule that I have. And after I put in that call, everybody had to stop. Okay. Now the bank knew that it was their fault. We've waited for them for 2 weeks, and they know the cost implication of every single day. And you will not believe it, that same day by 3 p.m., the certificate came out. And before the certificate, I've already moved the next person that's going to work on it. I've sent it out to, the payment application company. They started setting up, configuring it. So what I'm saying is, things can happen that are different from what you plan, but make sure you communicate properly to the business and create room for such occurrence. So when you do that, it'll help you. So I think we're almost done. We've got just 8 minutes to go. So any question again from anyone? Areas where you're struggling with, so we can just, we're just having a chat as Scrum Masters here. That's the beautiful thing about Scrum Master. It's a beautiful profession, eh? You're going to enjoy it. And from it, you can move to any other career. You can move to, from Scrum Master, ADM, program manager, but once you get to understand how everything goes, you'll see that it's a beautiful world.
Yes, Wealth, it's Ian.
Okay, Ian.
Yes, during sprint planning,
Yes.
I've noticed that for the past, in my team, there were some of the things probably myself as an ADM and the Scrum Masters, we didn't plan very well to get the sprint planning ahead. Would you just enlighten to me and to my team what we're supposed to do together to make the sprint planning much better, if I put it that way?
Okay, now for sprint
what planning are we supposed to put in place before the sprint planning?
Yes, for sprint planning, you need to check your resources. Capacity planning first. Who are the people that wants to do the job? Are they available? Will they be available during the sprint? Find out your developer, please. we're having sprint planning from Monday. And will you be available? What's your availability like? Testers, please, will you be available? What's your availability like? And then the BAs, do you have enough stories in the backlog? Okay, can we do refinement prior to the sprint planning? So these are points that these are the preparation that you need to make sure that your BAs, they are top of their job. They've gotten all the stories ready. Make sure that they have their wireframes ready, well explained, all the acceptance criteria done. And then make sure that they've communicated with the PO. So it's not during sprint planning that they will come and be discussing with PO. No. They've gotten all the requirements. They know the priorities. They know what needs to be committed. First, from the PO's point of view, PO already selected, oh, these ones are priority. Make sure you ask. If the PO doesn't tell you, ask. You need to chase the PO because he is not PO. See, in companies, the PO will not come and sit down with you and say, okay, ask me question now. No, you are the one that's going to chase the PO. He will tell you he's busy because he's busy, really. They are busy doing so many things. You will chase. Oh, please, can I lock a time with you by 2 p.m. tomorrow? Are you free? Okay, please, this and but now you're giving all these requirements. Please, I want to see what are your priorities based on this. What do you want first? And how do you want it done? So all these are preparation for that you need to put in place. You need to communicate with your team. Get them ready. So that it's not on the screen on the sprint planning day, you discover that one developer is not available. You should have known. Ask him, will you be available? If he says no, then you know that, okay, I have 4 developers, 2 will not be available. So it's going to be only those 2. So you plan your work based on the availability of the 2. So that helps you so that there's no mistake. So those are part of the planning that you do as a Scrum Master. I hope that helps. There are more, but for now, that's what I can say.
Thank you.
Yeah. Abimbola, go on with your question.
Okay, well, yeah. That's what I want to ask is about engaging stakeholders. And at which point does a Scrum Master come in to engage stakeholders? Do you just go, the work is being done by the developers, and then do you just go straight to the developers to ask them questions? Or, okay, for developers, okay, like we had there was something that happened in our meeting today between the developers and with the quickie way. So I was now asking a question, and they asked me, and I told them that okay, if they have a problem with engaging the developer, they should have told me about it and everything. So am I just going to, if they don't tell me they have an impediment with the developer, do I go to the developer directly? In terms of, I don't know how to answer I ask that question, but I'm just in terms of engagement, can you explain how the Scrum Master engages the development team? At what point do you have to engage the development team?
Okay.
And in what circumstance?
Yes. Now, for the development team, you can engage the development team, your developers, your testers during planning phase. Like I said, get their availability. You know their availability, fine. Now, when they now start working, when they have impediment, they reach out to you. You too, you can reach out to them to find out how they are doing. You can be the one that would even ask, oh, Tunde, now concerning the API that you said you're going to work with, do you have any issue with that? Hope you're doing well. He said, oh, no, all is fine. Good. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. You've asked, and he said he doesn't have any issue. So you leave him alone. Then you move to the next person. How is it going? Oh, what about the SFTP that you said you're going to set up? How is it going? You say, oh, no. I'm actually working on it, but I'm unable to get the server details. Oh, the server details? How can I be of help? Oh, well, you might want to talk to the HOD development and let's see if he will be able to get me some key. Okay. I think I can pick that up. No worries. I'll get back to you. Now you've gotten that. So because you are proactive, you've been able to drag that out of him. So you can engage with your developer in such manner by following up with what they do. And also remember, stakeholders, there are different set of stakeholders. There are internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. The internal stakeholders are like your line managers, Okay, you might want to get back to them. You need to know how to report to them, okay, because they want to know the progress of your team. So those ones, you will still need to deal with them. Then the external stakeholders are like maybe the business out there, the company that gives you guys contract and all those stuff. You know, they are representative when they come. Those are external stakeholders also. So you should know how to manage each and every one of these stakeholders. Now, for the Scrum Master, it might just be that the internal stakeholders are the ones that you deal with, and then maybe your line manager deals with the external stakeholders, depending on how the company works. So that's how you know, manage the development team. You go out there, ask questions, be part of what they're doing, and then they open up, let them know that you're there. If there's any issue that is delaying their task, please, they should bring it on, and then you can pick it up from there. With that level of engagement, you will see that things will move smoothly.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think we're almost done for today. It's 9 o'clock. Wow, 1 hour gone. So how was the workshop session? I'm sure we learned one or two things, right?
So much.
Yeah, so much.
So much,
So
so much.
we keep engaging one
Things are
another.
getting clearer.
Thank you very
We'll be
much.
increasing in
Wealth.
It was
It will
good.
get clearer and
Thank you
clearer.
very much. Well,
Wealth,
Yeah,
I don't
thank you.
know where you are, but the way
I'm
you explain things, you have
Don't
soak
worry.
a dealer for some people
Don't
like
worry.
me.
We
Thank
have
you very much.
we all learned it the same way you guys are learning it now. Okay. There was a time when I came on board and everything was strange to me. I never heard Scrum before. I never heard it, you know. So it was when people were saying it, oh, I said, let me come for the training. And it's been beautiful. So don't worry. We're all together.